Hello there. Every time I go to a gig at the Kelvingrove Bandstand in Glasgow, which is an outdoor venue, I always take along my bucket hat, which is here, and it tends to be sort of used fairly often due to the kind of Glasgow summer weather. The last time I saw Teenage Fanclub there, I absolutely tipped it down. It was biblical. A point that Norman Blake actually mentioned during the gig last week. Didn't need it at the most recent one. Weather was great. And in some ways, it kind of set the tone for the night. It was a very kind of chilled, enjoyable, melodic gig in many ways, which reflected, I think, the location it was in. When I was sort of reading up on bits and pieces before the gig, I read somewhere that someone had compared Stainie's fan club to like a Scottish status quo, and I don't think it was a particularly complimentary comparison. And I wasn't sure about that. And obviously, there's a bit more class to what they do than say the Quo. But to be fair, I mean, watching them live, I could see some similarities. I mean, there is a Teenage Fan Club sound if you want, and I guess that's no bad thing. I mean, some of the best bands ever have created a sound, and although they'll deviate from it, can always be quite recognisable when some of their main songs come on. Teenage Fan Club are no different. They have that kind of West Coast America sound. They've got a bit of kind of modern grungy edge to some of that, particularly their early work. But when a song comes on, you know it. They've also got a fantastic rhythm to what they do. They're always a very tight band, and obviously there's a slightly different setup now that Jerry Love's not there. But the current band have been going for a few years now, and they're brilliant. They're solid without it being like too tight, and also very enjoyable. And you can see that they play off each other, which is nice to see. And when they need to, like the Co, they can rock out. And there was a couple of examples at the gig where they managed to sort of rock out with the best of them. One of the last times I saw them was at the Barlands when they played the 3 nights when Jerry Love was leaving. It was a very emotional night, one of the most emotional gigs I've ever been to. And when the band decided to keep going, you're sort of slightly concerned how that'll play out. And I saw them a couple of years ago at SWG3. And they were good. They had just released Endless Arcade, I think, and they were good. But I felt there wasn't quite the same connection between the band and the audience that maybe there had been in the past. But of course, some gigs are better than others. And I was sort of curious to see how this one would play out. When I saw them at the bandstand, I sort of changed my mind really. Couldn't be more go wrong about that. I think maybe that was just one of those nights. The gig they played at the bandstand sort of epitomised pretty much everything that was about the band and still is. And there was a couple of things that kind of made it a really special event. I guess the main one was that they played a few songs, 5 or 6 songs in, which were really good. But it was all crowd were sitting down, they were clapping away where they had to, but it was, as I said, it was fairly laid back. And then they played What You Do to Me. And when they started playing it, a couple of the guys down near the front, I think Murray Easton was one of them, and Murray's sort of fairly well known locally, has been a big Teenage Fanclub fan, basically made a bolt for the front of the stage. And thankfully, it wasn't just Murray and a couple of his pals. They were then joined very quickly by a few hundred different Teenage Fanclub fans. And they stayed there for the sort of the remainder of the gig. So that was really nice to see. The set list was fantastic. They played about 20 songs all in. And again, having a wee nosy at some of their other set lists recently, it was nice to see that they managed to sort of mix it up a little bit. And when you're watching a gig, you're always curious to see, particularly the bandstand, whether there'll be something a little bit different that they'll throw in, which tends to be the way. They did put a couple of sort of songs they don't play as often in later in the set, but before I mention them, I just wanted to call out Back in the Day, which is a song that they played maybe about 6 or 7 songs into the set. And like a lot of bands, obviously when they play their more established songs from their kind of imperial phase, which Teenage Fanclub had around sort of 91 to 97, they're very well received. Some of the newer stuff maybe takes a bit of time to get that warmth. First time I heard Back in the Day, I thought there was something quite special about it, and every time I've subsequently heard them play it, particularly live, it feels as if it's a song that's just going to sit in their canon now, and sort of earn its place, not only in the set, but I guess on the kind of the list of some of their favourite songs. It's fantastic, really nice song, and they obviously enjoy singing it, and there's quite a bit of emotional feedback or reflection in the song as well as they're doing it, which was nice to see. And then, as I say, we had all the crowd on the front, and they just stayed there. The band really enjoyed it. Norman actually called that out at the end of the set, saying it really made the night, which was great. And I mentioned we were always looking for a couple of different songs at the bandstand. So tonight we actually got Neil Young, which they haven't really been playing for a while now. It is one of their most sort of famous slash best songs, which I think is about Douglas T. Stewart from BMX Bandits. So they threw that in tonight, and as you can imagine, towards the end of the set, that was fantastically well received. And getting into the encores, they also played Planets, which personally is one of my maybe three favourite Teenage Fanclub songs. Which again they played, but it's not played all the time, and they certainly hadn't been playing it for a while. It's quite a quiet, laid-back song in Planets, so to put it in the encore was quite a brave thing to do. But it was bookended by the concept and everything flows. So, kind of, nice way to sort of top and tail that a little bit. At their best, Teenage Fan Club could write a song about the phone directory, put some Django around it, and it would still sound amazing. And when they are at their best, there's probably no one better at what they do. They've been going a long time now, so that must be 30, almost 35 years now that they've been knocking some stuff out. And they're still relatively young. I think they'll all be in their 50s, and they've got much more time to make more records, to maybe push themselves a little bit more. Their most recent albums have been, fairly personal. And as I say, all the better for it. And I guess if they can continue to do that, they've certainly got the love of the audience, and that came across clearly at the bandstand gig. And the last song was Everything Flows. I did see some people leave, and I think it might be because Norman said that the concept, which was the last song of the set, this is the last song. But if you've ever seen them, they invariably encore, and they certainly always finish their gigs with Everything Flows, which was the first song. It was great, and I guess not only is it a lovely song to finish, it's quite an up song. It's obviously got a lot of memories for people, which is always a nice thing at a gig to draw down on. But also towards the end of it, when Raymond's sort of knocking out his guitar lines, which are fantastic, he's got that whole sort of Wilco Johnson feel to him. But as he was doing that, Norman went over to his own amp on stage, and in effect, Spinal tapped it, turned up to 11, and absolutely had a go. And for the last couple of minutes, there was the two of them just, in effect, like it was Reading in the early 90s again. And it sounded great. They were having a great time. I actually read something on Facebook where somebody who wasn't at the gig was walking up Kelvingrove Park and heard them play Everything Flows and said it sounded like they were playing it from 25, 30 years ago. And I thought that was a sort of really nice compliment to pass back to them. So it was a fantastic night. The bandstand's a great venue. It's very hard to get a poor gig there, but it's also very hard to have an outstanding gig because the bar set so high. As this went on, it got better and better. And by the end, with everyone on their feet and the band, obviously enjoying what they're doing, it became a very special event, and one I was sort of very glad to be at. Whether they're the Scottish State Square or not, I'm not too sure. But they do like a cover. So, who knows, maybe the next time when they play the bandstand, we might get a little bit of Caroline dropped in there, which should be good fun to see. I hope you enjoyed that, and until the next time, stay safe now. All the best.